they obviously got to be feeling good. They get the game one win rather. It's against Virtus.Pro, but do you think they look a bit sharper than what we saw from them yesterday? Any sort of adjustments that you think they might have made since their time yesterday, at least?
I think that I think it was basically exactly as we said in the draft that I give Vega a lot of credit for this because I think especially as a young team, it's easy to have a setback like they had yesterday and say, hey, we got to do something different. I think they recognized they played good Dota yesterday. They were just up against a very good team, and they're continuing that into today.
We're going to check out some of the highlights here from game number 1, and it's going to turn into a Vega highlight reel here, probably, as you see desperation here for Virtus.Pro trying to make something work into the pit, but then from all fronts, and the team fight potential, the coil, the jump, and the rift, my God. Absolute chaos here, and just a bit of a disarray for Virtus.Pro, a bit all over the place, and, you know, mentioning a lot through the draft, the single target here. They're trying to focus fire one person down. They are going to be able to get the Spectre, but if you look at the back end of the fight, and this is where Solo comes in, and he's just got the arm, the javelins flying on out, and one by one you'll see Virtus.Pro begin to crumble down here.
And when you're in a position where you can go in and attack your opponents in the Roche pit after they've already taken Aegis, you know you're kind of in the driver's seat at this point. It was a great four-man dream call. I think no one, to me, I feel like he was probably the MVP this game as far as his individual play goes. He just put on a show on the puck.
Would you agree with that, Nahaz? Do you think no one would deserve the title of MVP from game number 1?
I liked his decision to go Blink into Yules. I felt like at this point, you know, in this game, basically he just needed to stay alive and continue to pump out those spells and that control. And it was an issue that we talked about in the draft. Was that I think it's a trap that a lot of teams fall into. That it's great to be able to get Roche with Ursa, but they were already behind at that point, as God's mentioned. But you kind of saw the fact that they didn't have the 5v5 potential in this lineup to win the fight even after they got the Roshan.
We see here the final curtain here for game number 1 for Virtus.Pro is Vega able to kind of make that breach.
This is pretty cool. This was like no one was just styling during this fight. You can see he gets down to about 15% HP here, and he survives for like a minute and a half.
Orbs behind them, like blinks in the trees.
He kites the whole team basically around their fountain.
Yeah. I think VP actually hold here, but again, like the game is already decided at this point. There's no coming back when you've got an Ursa as your carry role. Like any draft with an Ursa needs to be ahead and stay ahead. As soon as you fall behind with an Ursa draft, you pretty much just lost the game right there. So for Vega, I totally agree with what Alan said, and it's just they played good Dota yesterday, and they took that through to today, and I don't think they need to change anything going forward in this tournament. They just have to accept that they met a really tough LGD squad yesterday, and if they just keep playing their brand of Dota, they're going to do well here.
Yeah, and I don't think necessarily that the problem was with the Ursa, even though I think what you said was totally correct. I think it's just the fact that their other 4 players were not nearly as active. Were not nearly active enough around him.
G doing
this
the
is
most
crazy.
hero damage at 6.2k.
Yeah.
It doesn't compare at all.
And this is just why we've talked about this since the very beginning yesterday. Why you just cannot give Solo that Enchantress right now. He is so on fire with that hero. It's ridiculous.
So, gentlemen, how do we approach game number 2? We'll have the tough task. Let's say you're the coach now, Nahaz, coach Virtus.Pro. You're making the call out that you'd like to see them kind of go back to more of, I don't want to say vintage Virtus.Pro, but what just had worked for them in the past. What would you say to them?
First of all, you ban the Bambi. And you don't ban you make the other team ban 2 mids, and I think you really have to start thinking about taking your mid either first phase or with your 3rd pick.
Okay.
I really do think you've got to structure a huge amount of your resources, especially early game as Virtus.Pro, into getting G going, because I think that's what you need to give yourself a chance.
Do you echo these thoughts, Parker?
I think the supports need to just get more done and just kind of not worry about their safe laner. Like leave your carry Yoku kind of on his own. Don't just babysit him. Help out the mid lane with G. Even gank the off lane. Go pressure FN. That was, to me, one of the bigger problems that we saw last game from Virtus.Pro.
That's interesting, actually, now that you mention it. They've been putting him on your Svens, on your Spectres, on heroes that tend to need a little bit in the way of babysitting. Yep. Maybe there's a hero in his pool that's a little bit more self-sufficient. I think that's right. That would do a lot in terms of opening up the map for them early on.
And even their support, I mean, to go back to just briefly talk about the Oracle again, that's very much like a let's babysit the safe laner. There's no roaming potential this year. They need to be just more active and they had the right supports that game to do it. Like you have a Lion and a Doom. I think that's perfect. You can actually roam around with this duo. You can go to the off lane. You can smoke up as a 2-hero support, go kill the Spectre or go kill the Dazzle. But they didn't do it.
Now, this one might be a lot easier to answer, but if you're in the corner of Vega and you're already coming off the 1-game win here, any reason to kind of change up your strategy approaching game number 2? Is there a chance that you could expect something wild coming out from Virtus.Pro here? I mean, when you're pretty much in a do-or-die situation, you're Virtus.Pro, you're coming into a tournament, there's probably not a whole lot expected from you being a last-minute replacement. Do you think there's a chance they could pull out something totally out of left field?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They actually chose Dire side. I was kind of looking at this. So VP are going to be Dire again. They could have chose first pick. They didn't want it. I'm like, what are they going up their sleeve? I don't think it's. I mean, could be a level 1 Roche. That's always the first thing that comes to mind. Like, your team's like in this disastrous place. What
in
kind
this kind of setup, though, with the LAN and the audience there that you could probably hear if they get a
Yeah.
bit ham.
What pocket strats have you got? Because whatever VP's standard kind of drafting and playstyle is, it's not working. So I almost feel like they need to go for something gimmicky to just try and get a win here.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky, especially having all these players in relatively new roles. So much of your typical cheese pocket strats involve like the Brood, involve like the Meepo, where you've got to have players that know that particular role and that know that particular hero pretty well. I just don't know that anybody on VP necessarily has that in their pool.
Yeah, I mean, FNG's new to the offlane, so I don't think we'll see anything crazy from him. G's kind of flexible, but he's got his standard hero pool. So if anyone is, it's probably like the carry role for Yoku, where they do something like weird and unconventional. But I think VP are very likely to just get quick 2-0'd here.
And if you guys didn't already know, to help us run this event, we're going to do a mini sponsor shout-out here. At the moment, we have EGB.com, which is the leading esports betting website. And also, if maybe you're not at your computer, you're out at work, and you're trying to creep into your pocket to catch up on all those Dota stats and scores, you can check out the scoreesports.com. They got a freshly redesigned user interface, and you can go download on the iOS App Store or Google Play. And, of course, you're already here probably watching it. Twitch.tv has also helped out with this event quite a bit. Now, Nahaz, going back to Virtus.Pro once again, and what you're liking, what you want to see from them in this lineup, and you're making the call like pressure on the mid lane. Spirit Breaker is just something that just bounces in my mind at that point, and it had been a Virtus.Pro classic for a long time there. Why don't we get to see him picked up as much anymore, especially in the hands of a team like that?
Well, Spirit Breaker's fallen a little bit out of the meta, and again, it's just a matter of having the players on your team that are comfortable with a particular hero and having the players that are comfortable playing around it. And, when you had DK Phobos and you had Lil, I mean, you knew what you were getting there. You knew that you had the Brood potential out of DK. You knew that you were going to get great clockwork play. You were going to get great initiation. And you knew with Lil that you always had that Visage looming as a threat. Yeah. VP just... We seem to be repeating ourselves at this point, but they haven't established that identity yet as a team.
And it's crazy because as individual players, all these players have on past teams really proven themselves to be at like some of the top of their roles. Like Nofia, when he had his time on Empire, was blowing my mind with some of his plays. I mean, he's another 8K MMR player, but he's playing the support role. He was playing heroes like Earth Spirit, just doing all kinds of stuff on the hero. Like, he was one of the first real support players out of the CIS team to really impress me. So these guys all on their respective teams have done very well. Just when they come together here on Virtus.Pro, it hasn't worked.
I mean, let me be very clear. All 5 of these are tremendously talented players, and I think there's still, we were talking about this a little bit after the series yesterday, there's plenty of potential on this roster. The big issue to me is, especially when you start talking about cheese strats, it's a little bit like what we were saying with the Oracle. It's not just having a player that can play the hero, it's having 4 other players that know how to play around it. And this feels like a team to me where they don't necessarily know how to play around each other yet.
Now, Vega, let's say that they're able to kind of get past this one and still make a climactic run all the way to the grand final. Do you think this team is still deserving of potential gandering from Valve as a potential invite?
I think that if they win this tournament, they will be a direct invite. I think if they don't, they won't. It's that simple. And I think, fortunately or unfortunately, I think that you have at least 5 of the teams in the tournament that are in that situation, and that's part of why I think this makes this tournament so much fun.
VG Reborn probably there, maybe even LGD a bit.
LGD is the one that I think if there's enough potential on this LG roster and enough history with Zhao 8 that I think if LGD looks the way they looked yesterday and makes the grand final here, that they may get consideration. I think the other teams, they need to win.
Fair enough. It looks like our draft has actually loaded, gentlemen. So why don't we go ahead and hop into game number 2. It's Virtus.Pro versus Vega. Let's do it. And as Gods had mentioned here, Virtus.Pro taking the choice of Dire side. Vega will be awarded with the first pick on Radiant, and they'll be banning out the OD. The response from Virtus.Pro is going to be a bounty hunter here. Vega Squadron, they get rid of the Earth Spirit. This is looking a bit of deja vu here. Will they get rid of the Enchantress?
It's interesting to see some of the ban prioritization, because yesterday was LGD banning out the Lone Druid, which hasn't really been a Vega pick for some time. Mag has played it a decent amount in that offlane, but for Vega, it hasn't been their go-to.
I am very, very surprised. Once again, same bans, different order from out of Virtus.Pro. I'm still just tremendously surprised to see them ban the Invoker.
And Vega willing to mix things up to not let VP make adjustments. Say, we'll take the Beastmaster first rather than just make it predictable, go for the Enchantress and allow VP to kind of respond from there. This is basically VP were saying, okay, they're going to first pick Enchantress and we've got a new plan to try and deal with it. But when they first pick Beastmaster, you're suddenly like, oh, what are we actually going to do now?
Makes me curious what their plan would have been against an Enchantress first pick.
Yeah, I
if
really
you're
like
FNG,
it.
you're definitely expecting them to first pick Enchantress, and then you've got a 1-2 punch to prepare.
No, but it becomes a poker game at this point, because now you all but force Virtus.Pro to take the Enchantress as Vega.
Yes.
We'll see here. It should have been too far out of the realm of possibility that Vega do go for the Beastmaster again, but this time Virtus.Pro get up a. What Nahas has continued to say has been the hero of the patch so far, though.
I just don't think there's any question. I mean, Earth Spirit has gotten his press. A lot of other heroes been talked about as being OP, but Chen just continues to win and win and win. And when you look at what this hero can get done with an early Aghanim Scepter, get that Ancient Black Dragon out there on the field, it's preposterous.
I'm a little sad because there'll be yet another game where we will not see AC get to shout the words of Old Dirty and the hammer dropping. No OD will be gracing the field for this one, and neither will the Invoker again, partially towards the mid lane.
There are still Jimmies to be rustled and sabers to be rattled. It's all right.
Bagels and breadsticks and anything else from the pastry here. We'll see what Virtus.Pro are going to look to get their second pick on. They're even chewing through a bit of the reserve time for this one.
I can't really blame him here. I continue to think that they'd be better off locking that mid hero down a little bit early in the draft, but they're going to go ahead and take the support. Again, I think that's a reasonable deny pick here, but it's also not one of Sioma's best support position.
Yeah, I think the deny pick is probably like an afterthought, but
still allows them to get that Enchantress if they want. So you could still see Vega go for it again, but I wonder if Vega are looking at this like, this seems a bit too easy.
They're worried about some kind of Alliance-style push coming from Virtus.Pro, where you hit your timing around 15-20 minutes, start taking towers objectives with the Chen and the Witch Doctor sustain, the creep army are built around it. For Vega, I can only imagine their third and fourth bans are going to be heroes like Death Prophet, who just push, break towers, maybe even Nature's Prophet gets banned out. Heroes like Juggernaut for the safe lane as well, because to me, that's what Chen Witch Doctor kind of tells from Virtus.Pro as an opener.
And it is worth mentioning, referring back to the series yesterday, that this is also what they did against Alliance, did Virtus.Pro. They basically let them have their comfort heroes, and by the second game, they switched up their draft a little bit. They had a better idea, better concept of how to play around it, and they were a lot more competitive in that second game than they were in the first. But still, I can't see giving your opponent exactly the heroes that they want as a viable strategy.
It's a lot of sustain already picked up for Virtus.Pro. And one of the things that kind of tickles my brain and I'd like to see, and we saw from Vega at the ESL New York run, was the solo Ancient Apparition. Crowd was going crazy over that one. Could put a bit of nerf to the heal, but that is another hero who seems to have fallen off the radar quite a bit in this recent patch. Puck, though, will be their second pickup, and, well, no one was pretty much MVP for game number 1 with this hero, and there he is right now.
Very likely recognizing that, look, OD Invoker banned out. If you don't pick your mid now, Puck's going to get taken out by Virtus.Pro because of what it did the last game. So it's kind of like you get the Puck or you get the Enchantress here. And I think they realize that VP kind of want them to be playing Enchantress, and Enchantress isn't great against that 5-man group up and push. And, well, there's the Death Prophet ban as mentioned. I can only imagine the 4th ban is going to be on some kind of pushing 5-man hero as well.
Yeah, I just feel like it's the importance of winning mid against Virtus.Pro is something that Vega Squadron has correctly recognized here, and they want a hero that they had success with in the last game, that they're confident with in general, that they know how to rotate around.
And then the Sven will also be taken out, which had been a recent comfort pick for at least getting in the hands of Yoku here. But we're talking about the value of the mid lane here, and a lot of people anticipate that if you want to be able to punish G, you got to be able to kind of set him in his pace here. I don't know, though, if we know Virtus.Pro to be having that more proactive kind of Ake-style Chen or more that greedy, straight-to-mech push-activated one. It could, the story could be made a bit more clear when we see the rest of the draft really develop, but I would hope it'd be the former, as
Yeah.
it seems to be the better answer for Vega.
I like the idea of the former, but again, the puck in the first stage, the other kind of secondary reason for picking this is that it's kind of can't be ganked by a Chen. So if you don't pick your mid in that second spot, puck gets banned out, and then you're forced into maybe picking some kind of mid that's very vulnerable to the Chen ganks. Unlike last game, I don't think we'd see Virtus.Pro ban the Zeus, because you're quite happy for your opponents to pick a Zeus mid when you have a Chen, because it's one of the easiest mid heroes to gank in the game. So. Vega want to guarantee they have an elusive mid-hero when there's a roaming Chen in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even clear, especially with Witch Doctor with his primary lockdown being a projectile stun that you can phase shift out of. It's not clear that a 3-man gank against the puck would be successful early on.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's it. The VP, yeah, they've committed to both their supports here. So any lock, like, you can't go into a Lion now. Like, you're fully committed to this. So there's no real good options for a puck unless you can get some kind of, like, hero like Queen of Pain who goes into an Orchid. Not even like as far as like insta lockdown spells go, like most of those come from supports like Lion.
Juggernaut will be the third pickup here from Virtus.Pro.
5-man push is pretty much the name of the game right now for VP.
Even more heal. Let me see that AA. That would make it just sweet and juicy here. Outside of that, maybe even a Crystal Maiden could be nice to have against the Chen. Provide the extra bit of mana for your team.
Yeah.
5-man push, and don't completely rule out that we could see a page out of Alliance's book from yesterday that you put that Juggernaut mid. Puck is not the best at punishing melee heroes mid.
I think they'll be more inclined to do that if they, depending on what Vega's support options are. If they're worried about like a lot of like roaming supports, that's where the Jug mid was really good that game, because there was an Earth Spirit, and Earth Spirit can't gank a Jug in the mid lane. He's completely able to escape anything coming his way. So.
Well, I was more thinking in terms of just get that Jug levels early on. I mean, in a pushing lineup, you almost want levels early on the Jug as much or more so than farm.
Yep.
But yeah, Crystal Maiden is one of everybody talks about Sioma's Disruptor with good reason, but Crystal Maiden is also an incredibly strong hero in his hands, and I think she's actually one of the more underrated heroes in the program right now, just in terms of the raw damage output that she's capable of in the early mid game with her spells.
Yeah, and even the aura is something, it reminds me a lot of like the Witch Doctor Voodoo Restoration, where it always goes unnoticed, but the impact that has on your lanes is huge. It's not like, as noticeable as something like a Drawer, because it's just straight up harass damage and helps you last hit, but just for a hero like Beastmaster, for a puck in the mid lane, it just means you're more likely to get that extra spell, extra nuke, be able to sustain yourself a bit better, and really kind of can tip the scales in your favor.
We go back to Virtus.Pro now, though. We got to consider maybe their off-lane pickup if they want to be reserving their mid lane again for the end here.
And FNG's played a lot of Nature's Prophet.
I was just looking at that. Nature's Prophet not touched yet.
Yeah, I mean, didn't he pull out also a Darkseer earlier?
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
know
yesterday,
if Darkseer really
was
fits the bill for this one.
They've got the Chen already. They've got like the mech, the pipe buyer if they need to. So I feel like that's a big reason you often go into the Darkseer, or you're looking to contest the lanes. But Vega haven't picked their carry, so a CM with a strong laning carry can match up very well against Darkseer.
Ooh, okay. This
Jug
is
mid,
pretty heavy on the push.
That's their kind of their brand of cheese, and Vega are going to start going into some deep push, some good mid game fight.
Didn't even take them the thought. They knew they were going to get this Gyro.
No, I mean they know what draft they're facing at this point, and I don't know. The Lycan is something that we've seen a lot out of Na'Vi lately. Ditura's been playing that hero just extraordinarily well. But again, we just haven't seen enough out of VP to know whether they're going to be comfortable executing this kind of lineup. I mean, you're putting yourself on the clock in picking these heroes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you're match point, do or die kind of a situation, this feels pretty all in from Virtus.Pro. It's just a matter of kind of adding the cherry on top with the FNG pickup here to kind of boost it up that much further.
I just don't even feel like they've got the ideal cores to go with the 5-man push. I would much rather have seen something like a lone druid out of the team. Ultimately, I think it probably comes down to the fact they haven't got a good lone druid player, or FNG as the offlaner doesn't want to pick that one up, because to me they're trying to be Alliance with their picks, but they don't quite have the hero pool of Alliance, and that's what's going to kind of cost them this game to me. Like and also that's just not a play style that they're comfortable with. So. It seems just like okay, none of our strats are working. We got 2-0 yesterday. We lost game 1 here pretty badly. Like we just got stomped. What can we do? Let's try and be Alliance.
I would kind of be surprised if this just isn't a straight up Nature's Prophet ban out of Vega.
Yeah, I mean that's really if you want to be Alliance.
It's really the hero that FNG has shown the most comfort with.
I think VP do need an initiator though. Even if you're going for a 5-man push, you want to have some kind of catch to basically make it so that Vega just can't walk up, drop a cooldown, throw a puck orb. So you want something like a Bat Rider, because Bat or like a Brewmaster. These heroes work really well in pushes, Tide Hunter and a similar thing, because it makes it really hard to defend towers. If you only have like summons and right click and physical damage, you're never scared as a puck to just walk up to the creep wave and just throw illusionary orb. You could blink in Waning Rift all about to just nuke the creep wave down, and there's nothing to catch you. So I think you need like a Batrider type hero here if you're Virtus.Pro.
Oh, always is still the possibility that they move the Jug, again, take a page out of the Na'Vi playbook, move the Jug to the off lane in a rather strong dueling with the Witch Doctor, and then pick a mid hero here. But I think this is going to be their off laner. I do like the Batrider suggestion a lot. You don't need necessarily huge AoE initiation with a push lineup, but you need some options. And it's going to be the Night Stalker. That's not bad.
It gives them like the vision aspect as well as a silence. I don't like it as much as the Batrider, but it fits the bill of what kind of is missing from their draft.
And it's still, I mean, I think a lot of, though, it addresses a lot of what you were saying in terms of you need to have something there that's at least going to threaten the puck, at least going to make puck think twice about just being completely free with his spells. And the Night Stalker does do that.
Yeah, up until that pick, this was just going to be the easiest puck game of no one's life. So they make it a little bit more tricky. Even so, like once puck has that Yule Scepter, good luck doing anything to him. So Vega's last pick going to be the support for solo, I assume now.
Yeah, you need a 4. And that's why the Doom ban was very, very good. I don't necessarily think you can go the Enigma here. Okay.
Yeah, but they'll go with the Winter Wyvern. Can be very nice against this heavy summon kind of a lineup.
Yeah.
One Winter's Curse could prove to be some serious trouble for anyone caught under that.
Great deep push. Great against Jug Lycan with the physical damage and all the just summons floating around with Chen creeps, Lycan Necrobooks potentially. So
this is a much tougher call. I think the draft is just so much more even here.
You think so? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really do. I think if Virtus.Pro can execute this, it's going to be a very close game.
I just feel puck is like the freest game ever here. Just, the Night Stalker alone is not going to do enough. I think no one is, again, just going to just carry his team through this game.
So you're going to go with Vega?
Yeah, Vega,
okay.
100%.
I've got to go with Vega, but I feel like this is going to be a lot tighter.
So 2 on Vega?
Yep.
I'll go Virtus.Pro.
All right.
Why not? Let's see if we can get a game number 3. Let's go ahead and throw it over now to the Cyber Sport Arena where we got Ryuu and Ayesee.
Hey, welcome back, guys. Game number 2 of the CIS Showdown. VP taking on Vega. 2 teams very popular with the crowd here in the arena. Unfortunately, one will be taking their exit here coming up. The draft, I actually agree with the panel quite a bit. I think this is going to be a much tighter game and a lot less room for error on both sides, it seems.
Yeah, I would say so. Still giving the edge to the panelists there. Going to say Vega probably have
wow. Coming into the game a little late. 1-1 as the Gyro and the Night Stalker already dropped. And yeah, the action starting before we're even able to get the camera off of our glimmering mugs, as Solo still taking a little right-click damage from G.
Dang it, production value. Solo is going over here. But this is still very good. They were trying to go for that smoke gank play, and that's still going to be a good change for Vega because they did get the first blood there, and that's on the puck. So no one – is he going to have – what is he starting? He's got an extra salve already. So –
well, the horn blows, and may as well be even, right? Actually, that's a bit of a lead for VP. As we are tied up at 1-1, the teams clashing early, but let's get back into the groove of things. As lanes take shape, let's see who's handling who. It will be Sioma on our Crystal Maiden. It will be Solo, as mentioned, on the Winter Wyvern. Puck going to be handled by no one here in mid once again. FN going to be playing the Gyrocopter, farming out of the safe lane. Mag on the Beastmaster out in the off lane again as well. Other side, we've got FNG playing the off-lane Night Stalker. It's going to be Yoku farming up the Lycan here in the safe lane. He's helped out by Aloha Dance on the Witch Doctor. The Jug's going to be taken mid against the puck, played by G, looking for a bit of a better game this time around. Really been struggling over the last couple of days. And, of course, No Fear taking Chin into the jungle.
So, right now, I got a stun off on Mag. Could get the bounce back. That is just some luck. But yeah, Aloha's got to be very careful here. You're not going to win this. He's got boots already. Who's going to win this man fight? He's got 2 boars now. Okay.
Yoko rotating over to give his boy some help. Free 37 gold for himself as well. And, yep, he's going to end up getting another. So anyway, looking at the way the lanes are right now, how do you feel about mid? Let's start there. The Jug against the puck, we can see a lot of aggression. Oh, he doesn't have any way. He's going to have to face shift to keep himself safe.
He's got the salve, though. Nice salve.
Right clicks. Yep, salve up on the other side, too. So, yeah, this is why I was curious. This is a lane that can go either way and really is very skill-based on both sides.
Really good understanding there of no one. Able to salve through the Blade Fury. And he also had the Fairy Fire to work with, and that helps. You want to make sure that you apply as much pressure as you can when the Blade Fury is on cooldown. So no one doing a good job at least putting on. And then G, once he doesn't have mana to farm in this lane, it's like, well, I don't have a Quelling Blade. I'm against a Puck who can harass me effectively, and it's going to be interesting how this shapes up. And right now it's 8-6 to 4-3, so this is what I expected.
2-minute rune grab by Aloha Dance on the Witch Doctor. Mag contesting down there. Will be a haste rune picked up by Sayoma. Let's see if he wants to do anything fancy with it. He is poking his nose up onto the other side. He may go for a dive here.
He's got a mango.
Oh, no mana. He sees it. G doesn't have enough mana to spin. He's going to go ahead and heal up. Doesn't matter. Another kill. This is just such a great read on the side of Vega, seeing that, of course, if he has a spin, he may be able to make it to safety, but his mana pool's so low, and Sayoma spending a lot of his own mana. Doesn't matter. Make it 2-1, Vega.
I was just questioning during the draft, should they, maybe put the Night Stalker in the mid lane so you're at least able to CS from afar with the Void, and you're at least going to have some mana to work with. But the Juggernaut starting off with a poor man's shield, not having like a mango or anything to work with, and it's just easy sledding there. But FNG, he's doing a nice time in this off lane. He's getting up his levels. He's level 3. He's already got his boots coming out to him, and he shouldn't die. So even though they did pressure that mid lane, speaking of which, I was just seeing the TP top lane here. He went all the ways back to base for Mag, but TPing just as the creep wave comes in. That's what you like to see.
Oh, yeah. Little free experience. Aloha Dance trying to do what he can to zone him out. Yoku's actually going to come way behind enemy lines as well. Does have 2 boars to work with, trying to CS with those. VP really trying to keep him off of anything. And, yeah, No Fear's going to come over just to secure this top lane and try to deny everything
Here's
he
solo,
can.
though. I want to watch just one Splinter Blast. It's just...
Got to get real ugly real fast. Let's see. Up and threw it actually ahead. He's just trying
that's
to.
That's really nice. Trying to pull the creep wave, but unfortunately now you have the axes. Nice play coming in. They have a lot of army to work with still, and yeah, you just see the mass summons here. We're playing Clash of Clans. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it looks like the tower down to half health. The glyph already deployed, like you said. Summons are there, but they're going to get this easily. So. Very early tier 1 for VP, and this is their game plan. They picked for it exclusively. They want to go pure pushing power with a little help from the Night Stalker to help run behind towers, help at least keep the Puck honest in terms of how aggressive he wants to be. And that's a great way to get started. And we can see they're already built themselves a considerable little lead, getting up towards 750 gold at just 4 minutes in.
It's nice when it's very deceptive how, when you don't see a Lycan for a long time, how much this How contributes to the pushes, especially when it's on all the creeps. And now it's nighttime. FNG wants to get a little bit aggressive here, but Mag is just playing perfect right now in this off lane. He hasn't got caught out by the rotation, and this one as well. So it's very nice from him. And then now, no one's going to have to be a little bit careful. You saw that Night Stalker kind of rotating up in the top lane. You don't know if he has silence or not, and that could be the death of your Puck, but he doesn't have enough mana to really work with here for FNG.
Well, 5 minutes in, and looks like it's going to be a reset pattern for VP. So if you're VP, my friend, what's your go word? Like, they take a free tier 1, that's fine, that's expected out in the off lane like that. At what point do they just point all their guns down the lane and just start marching? Like, what, is it an item, is it a timing? What's the plan if you're in VP shoes?
Maybe try to go back into the jungle and farm up a little bit more on your chin. Because you heavily committed for this push, you're kind of far back, you didn't get your stacks up, and now he's back into the jungle trying to get up those levels. And then once he gets up to the 5 and the 6, so he can have the Hand of God, maybe rotate around, but it's going to be hard for them to make space. It's on their support, Chen, as well as the Night Stalker to get stuff done, and you just have to find out what lanes they can really go to. And against a Gyrocopter, we haven't really talked about this lane too much. He can dish out a ton of DPS, and with the Winter Wyvern, if he decides to go for that Cold Embrace against this heavy physical damage lineup coming in from VP, it could just, turn around instantly.
FNG spotted by Solo. He's going to jump in. Sayoma right there, and the call down as well. This is going to be a free one. Nighttime or not, they should be able to track. No.
So fast.
Yeah, I actually thought, that Stout Shield did a lot of work there. I thought for sure they were going to have the right click. And instead, he manages to not necessarily dodge a bullet, but mitigate the damage at least a little bit as he'll scurry back home to safety.
Yeah, I think FM wasn't close enough, and just that one call down, not the second one not hitting, it just wasn't able to catch up in time. But so no one we have to look at the mid lanes here. Juggernaut did die that one time, but 23 CS against 36 for Puck. Obviously, it's benefiting the Puck, but at least he's not getting absolutely demolished here in the mid lane for G. And he's playing super aggressive. He wants the Omni Slash. He has this Arcane Rune. He wants to use it, but they're not going to have an opportunity to.
Able to zone them off the tower, as you mentioned, but not a whole lot of follow-up there. In the meantime, both teams just continuing to farm up. And it's going to be at a very early Vlad's coming out on Lycan. No real surprise there at all. Taking a look at other item choices. Arcane Boots were the choice for No Fear. Saw him sitting on the Browns, so no surprise there. And it looks like everyone's just content to farm away. Lycan way ahead in that regard. He's about 10 CS ahead of the Gyrocopter. FN has FaZe, Aquila up. And, you know, if you're Vega, is your plan simply to wait, just to basically farm, be efficient, and wait for them to make their move? Because you know their team is a little one-dimensional. They're really good at one thing, like exceptionally good with their draft at doing one thing really well. But if you're able to stall that, if you're able to derail that and slow their itemization on the back of team fight wins, that seems to be the approach. So if you're Vega, is that the idea?
Yeah, but well, I'll hold that thought now. VP, they just ultied already.
Oh, here we go. Going to engage, coming in from behind, that's going to be Yoko. Sayoma being chewed up by the big bad wolf. Solo going to be trapped out as well. Calldown's there, and it's doing damage, but the response not coming that quickly. Solo bought some time. Encasing himself, not going to matter, though, as that's going to be a quick 2 kills on the Frozen Phenoms of Vega. That's going to draw it to 3-2 now. VP in the lead, and they are ready to roll.
Yeah, that was the first nighttime, so getting those ganks there at the end helped out tremendously, because that's all their setup really is. Like, you smoke gank, you have the Night Stalker with his fast movement speed kind of running down heroes, else it's going to be very hard for them. And they're going to get their objective here, the tier 1. It's very hard for Vega to contest when they don't have the levels on the Winter Wyvern. It's not only his ultimate, as well as his D-push coming in from the Splinter Blast. It's just so effective against this lineup, so he needs to start getting solo levels for him, but Puck ideally can't go to the jungle as effectively as, you know, some other heroes like Shadow Fiend or whatnot. So, but at least I like this. No one's going to be going to the jungle. Give some EXP to your Wyvern, because that is a heavy D-push.
Roche attempt underway. VP and their collection of different creatures. Looks like this could be interrupted, and yeah, Vega knows what's going on. Here we go. Is he going to go in? He will. That's going to be a beautiful 3-man Waning Rift and Coil. Follow up with the Splinter Blast as well. Calldown's on point, but no one eating a lot of damage. Manages to bring him down, and now Vega seems to have sputtered and run out of steam. FN's going to be Omni Slashed by G, doing what damage he can. Heals himself up just a bit, but now he's got FNG behind him. Will he be able to turn the corner? Gonna be so close. Can they catch him? And it looks like FNG, he could have turned and voided him. He's gonna, no, yes, he does manage to find him. In the meantime, Lycan manages to finish off the Roshan. He grabs the Aegis, and Vega find themselves buckling under this pressure of VP, who are executing their game plan extremely well. Tell me, Ryu, what went wrong? The puck initiation was there, but it seemed like there was no decent follow-up.
Yeah, it's just like, where's their damage coming from besides the call down here? And it just looked like that healing. The healing ward plus the Witch Doctor heal was like Voodoo Restoration level 2. They just absolutely turned that team fight with the massive amounts of sustain, and they desperately need to have this Wyvern now, as you can see, getting up those level. He needs to have 6 so he can immediately blow up one of the enemy heroes and kind of set up the team fight, because yeah, Puck went in, but he wasn't able to escape because he didn't have the Blink Dagger initiate. Like, you blink in, you silence, and you orb out, and then you can maybe re-engage later, but Solo is going to be flying. Wolves can't fly, as I checked.
It's all right. He'll get buffed in the next patch. That's the new buff on the way. They will manage to catch Solo, airborne or not, and that's going to be another free one, as Yoku adds yet another kill to his tally, bringing it to 3-0-2. He's been involved in 5 of the 6 kills VP have put under their belt since the bell rang, or since the horn blew, I should suppose. And it looks like they're ready to get going, man. And like, if you're, go ahead.
They got Coil. I think it was, yeah, he used it after the Blade Fury, but just not enough follow-up, and trying to figure out what the CM is kind of bring to the table now. It's one of those picks that it's for specific reasons, like to counter maybe the Enchantress early game aggression, but Chen wasn't going to that off lane. You're having a off lane Night Stalker, so there's not summons you're really working with, and the CM pick's just not doing anything.
LVP ready to take yet another tower. Glyph is available if they want to use it. That heal really showing itself here And you know what? I'm just going to say it. I wanted to see Ancient Apparition. Me, you, and Fogged. We had a long conversation while we were watching the draft. The CM coming out instead of the AA.
Yeah, this is, but it'd be kind of the same situation though, where you get
I
punished.
mean, at least
like,
you've got that ult to at least
Yeah,
make
but
him think twice.
you just got your level 6 on CM, so you'd have it now, but you already lost the Roche, you already lost
Yeah.
3 towers, and that's maybe
absolutely
when they
fair.
can start finding those pickoffs now. But yeah,
And this is actually a big deal. VP has just spotted a huge stack that Vega has assembled for their gyro. If they manage to sneak over and take this, that's going to be a tremendous loss for them. They take this tier 1, that becomes so much easier. And it feels like Vega really can't even reliably fight into them to prevent it. So, yeah, that's going to be Mech now done as well. So you've got Shin Hill, you've got Mech, you've got the healing ward, and you've got Witch
Voodoo
Doctor's heal.
Restoration.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't
this
even
is-
know what
I
you
don't-
do.
I mean, they have earned 2 charges on FNG just to top it all off for you.
Like, like if
Oh,
they
you already got, wait, we got more, AC. We got the healing from the only unholy aura from your Satyr.
excellent.
Do you want
excellent.
any more heals?
Yeah, base healing right now. Like, taking a look at around the heroes, nobody's damaged enough. It's like Night Stalker's healing at 16.8. Like, that's his base healing at the moment. All right, here we go. High ground attempt at 12 minutes in. VP wants to knot the series up.
Oh my
1 to
goodness.
1.
The death ball is real right now.
Oh, yeah, dude.
They can't fight this at all without Wyvern ulti. Oh my. It's. Ooh.
Well, free racks. There's going to be a call.
they're all
Oh, my
grouped
goodness, what a coil! And there's the call down. Can they follow it up? Can they make it through the heal? That was as good as they could have asked for, and it just doesn't matter. Look at the sea of green. You can't touch them. Seoma is going to be frozen up and healed up, but they still just can't do anything. Like, look at this. Look how much damage
Oh my
VP has
God.
taken. They may be able to get Yoku, but even if they do, he's got an Aegis. I don't even know why he backed there. He'd probably been better off just dying. G's trying to come in. I mean, they really can't punch through this. That was the best shot I think Vega could have given them at all. But, yeah, that's still going to be Rax. And now no one being pursued out. He's going to phase shift out. And, oh, he does get embraced as well. Now Solo was the target. Yeah, look at this. They're not even done, man. Puck's down for 42 seconds. And, yeah, he doesn't have buyback. So, like, if they want to go do those Ancients, well, I don't even know if they
I
can.
feel like they
but-
just fought for like 2 minutes and then all of a sudden they're still at full HP now. This is absurd.
Dude, that felt like StarCraft. Like, you saw a bunch of big abilities go off and just a bunch of things hit each other till some other things died. Like, the healing is real.
That was a perfect combination coming in from Vega. They had so much AoE dropped on top of their heads, and then, they just sprouted back up,
Yeah.
tip-top shape. I don't know how you just don't tap out of there. Maybe so you don't have the lowest or the quickest game in history. No, not in history, but
Dude, the sheer amount of numbers popping up green to represent the healing of VP was like a WoW raid.
can I have my show fight recap for healing there? Yeah, like you said.
Anyway, 9-3, VP takes a Rax short of 15 minutes, and certainly in command of this game. FN still has that big stack he can try to get himself to. Not going to help if he gets caught out. FNG's right on his tail. Mag's there with the roar. No fear there as well,
Send
but this is going to be...
back.
No, unable to get him home. No fear gave him the best chance he could. But that's at least a decent catch-up. Like, how do you feel about Vega? Obviously, they're behind. There's no doubt about it. In fact, they're 12,000 gold behind. But is this a little deceptive? Do you think Vega is maybe a little more in this game than it seems at first blush?
Not after taking the Aegis and then the Rax at 15 minutes in the game. This is absurd.
Okay.
And going into the later stages of the game, Lycan and Juggernaut, I feel, are going to do way more. Juggernaut is one of the perfect counters to the Gyrocopter. The only thing that can really save him is going to be the Cold Embrace for that Omni Slash. But, I mean, they have no answer for this Night Stalker.
Net on the FN. He's going to be stunned by the Golem as well. There's going to be the Death Ward. Doesn't get enough damage done. Not that it matters, though, as G's right on top of him, as you said, ready to clean him up. And, yeah, Vega showing a few signs of life, but not much going on in that top lane.
Man, it's kind of nice when you see a push strat like this kind of come into fruition and it works out. Like, if you don't hit these timings, like the mech on the chin, if you didn't get that tier 1 tower top, go back into the jungle and farm, and then all of a sudden you go to the bottom lane, you get those nice kills before the nighttime, and everything was just set up perfectly by VP this game, and I mean, they just look like a dead team for like the first 2 games of both series, and then the second game they just like, hey, we're gonna actually play today.
Yep. It's all right. First game of the day. That's all.
Just nerves.
Yeah. Somehow I imagine this VP squad is used to playing in front of crowds. I don't. There is something to it though. And now VP once again eyeballing gyro stacks.
I've never seen 2 wagons in my life. I've seen one. I've seen one.
I didn't even
Not
notice
2.
that until now.
Oh.
Dual wagon Doto.
Oh, this is just hilarious right now.
Let's go Cardi. Cardi and Cardi Jr. And this is such a huge loss though. Real talk, cards or not, losing this stack, Gyro's one hope at being able to spring forward and maybe get a good item completed, give himself a chance to actually stay alive in these fights, has just gone down the drain. And this is basically his BKB that is being snatched away and given to the Lycan, who's just completed Book 3.
Yeah, that was 1,000, if not more, gold going the way of VP, and they're just going to get bled dry if this keeps going on. And what big things can they come back with? We talked about it. Winter Wyvern is like the only key, so you have to focus now on to maybe the Juggernaut. If all the summons go on top of him, because we saw how the healing ward is probably doing the most healing in all of these team fights just because it's maxed out. And it's also going to be hard too when you have the Chin with Greaves and Hand of God. Oh my goodness, I'm just like, who do you even target now? I'm even confused, but the frontliners who are going to be on the front is normally going to be either Lycan or Juggernaut, so you're going to have to try and find one of those, blow them up. But it's nighttime now, and all that vision that you get from Beastmaster is just negated, so can't even work with that.
Glimmer Cape up on Aloha Dance too, by the way. I hadn't even talked about that, so the ability for VP to bail people out if and when they get in
And
trouble.
it's all magic damage from their team right now for Vega. Like,
That's a great point.
that is just, oh man, this
I
Veo.
do want to point out the 2 carts only back up my assertion that this game has been more like StarCraft. It's like, yeah, we got our ranged.
You also have an armadillo running around.
Yeah, exactly.
It's,
And a little doggy somewhere for, what's her name, yeah. There
oh
it is.
yeah, you see. So this is, yep.
We wow now, boys.
We are wow. That's pretty cool when they added that, where you can have like Pokemon.
Hey, man, this Pokemon looks funny. Is this a new Pokemon game? All right, real talk, 10-4 is the kill score. Vega. I mean, they've managed to keep it together. They managed to turn away VP that last run down towards the tier 3s. So they are at least extending the game, but we're not seeing them really make any headroom in getting themselves back into it. Like, I was just going to ask the question, and it seems like the obvious question with an obvious answer. Let's smoke, and let's hope that we catch someone, make something happen, and maybe if we're lucky, get a Roshan after.
Yeah, but this is the most obvious and desperate smoke. It's something you have to kind of do, and you just see the top lane being pushed out, and you just know that they're just trying to make a play. Hardest thing for VP would be maybe scouting, but all they have to do is just bring in the summons that we talked about. Chin, oh, they're gonna go.
Oh my goodness, 4-man coil. Let's see if there's a follow-up. Here it comes, cooldown's coming. They're gonna be able to get no fear. He's already down. Damage is there a little bit more this time, but there's gonna be the follow-up Omni Slash, as well as the Crystal Maiden Ult. There's going to be an embrace on the F to keep him alive. Roar catches that Aloha Dance. It's 2 for 2. Absolute slugfest, but I think absolutely it's going to end in favor of VP as they track down the Gyro and they clean up house. That was probably the last real chance we were going to see Vega have. The initiation, once again, on point from no one. The absolute standout star from Game 1 has continued to be a star here in Game 2, but the follow-up just simply not there. Even with the Crystal Maiden ulti, even with the Roar, it's just not enough in the face of VP and what they've managed to build so far. And yeah, by the way, that damage you thought you were doing, you're not anymore, because now we have a Crimson Guard on our Night Stalker to go with our 8 bajillion points of damage of healing per second.
Yeah, you saw the problem there with Vega. They didn't coordinate right. And going for the Chin, it's nice and all, but I think you have to just try and take out one of the cores with either the Lycan or the Juggernaut so you don't have those big ultis online. And going for the Chin, it probably wasn't the right play. And at the end of the day, Gyrocopter uses call down. All that damage was mitigated because of the Wyvern ulti, so they didn't get as much damage as they needed. So using those spells, kind of stacking with the Wyvern ulti, and you can see why this hero is not picked at times. If you don't play absolutely perfectly in that team fight, you're just not going to get maximum value.
VP now ready to clear out the last remaining outer tier tower. They're going to do so uncontested. Glyph is available. Can't imagine Vega's going to use it here, and they won't. Yoku, close to a BKB if they wanted to back up. He needs about another 900 gold or so. Not even that, actually, closer to 700. But for now, looks like they're ready to just go ahead and keep going. What's key here for Vega?
Don't at least get 1 kill.
So it's fine if you lose racks. Just make sure they knew they were in a fight. Okay. Here we go. Solo brought down with 0 reprisal. Now maybe they'll try to turn things around. There's going to be a TP off the buyback.
Nice
VP still
buyback if it can work here.
There's going to be the chin heal, though, and now they're going to turn it back around. Somehow, the Night Stalker stayed alive. Solo eating damage from the Death Ward. In the meantime, no one doing what damage he can. It's going to be a 1-for-1 so far with that buyback. They do manage to get the Aegis down off the Juggernaut as well, but I imagine they're going to be ready to re-engage. Roar was used. There's going to be the Waning Rift. That's going to force them back at least a little bit. And let's see if VP wants to fight. I don't know. They may just want to play it safe.
Yeah,
Yep, they will.
You just play it safe. The only reason Vega won that team fight even a little bit was because of the buyback coming in from Wyvern to kind of set up for that. But yeah, they just can back out now, and I mean they just trying to figure out how Vega can come back there. We saw the ulti now on this time on the Lycan, but Juggernaut's not that big right clicker just yet, and so he wasn't able to go down. Well, as if it was on the Juggernaut. Speaking of Juggernaut, FN, he's got a BKB, forced to use it. Your first, what is that, first one? Yeah.
Yep, it's a 10-second charge. Here we go, calling out onto Aloha Dance. Not enough restoration to survive through that. So VP, they're going to go ahead and smoke, and this is some cheeky nonsense. Let's see. They're going to double back and try to catch maybe the gyro go into farm or something. Yeah, that was the plan. There's no one home. If they get the puck, that could be a good get. They're going to follow through. Nope. It's going to be busted, and looks like Smoke Gang just to get the Hawk.
Whew. So VP only lose their Witch Doctor there, and didn't get to really touch on no one going for the Veil. I mean, it's one of those times where okay, well, I want to have a Yule Scepter, right, to counteract the Night Stalker for the silence and all, but he's like, we have no damage, man. We need to get something, and I really do love that pickup here. It's like, an Ember Spirit at times. If you don't go like a Rapier or something, you're just like, okay, well, where's our damage, guys? We don't have enough, and this is like kind of the last-ditch effort. You saw how effective it kind of is with their lineup, with all the magic damage, but it's going to be very hard. At least they have something new, kind of like Mag going for that mechanism, so they have some heal on their side now, but it pales in comparison.
I mean, we've reached a point now, the itemization is just so deep on every hero on VP.
It's very deep.
They're just so tanky. Like, the heal's there, but that's going to be 1 racks down. Not a whole lot said about it. There's going to be a very nice.
On the jug this time.
Yep, and now Yoku has the BKB. He's going to look to turn around. FN using his BKB as well. Healing is there, but again, the damage actually is there for once. Aloha Dance getting the Death Ward off. They can't bring it down. He healed through it and managed to get teleported back home. Absolutely absurd. The rest of VP not quite as fortunate, as they're going to be forced to flee on foot. No one right there chasing him down. And, yeah, he actually did get hit with the Void there, so it looks like that might be enough to get FNG and No Fear back home. Mag's still looking for it, though. And, yeah, they will be able to extricate themselves. So Vega able to hold. They did lose 1 set of racks. The melee still standing. I can't help it. I got tunnel visioned on that. There was a Witch Doctor channeling his ulti forever, healing on like 10 HP.
Man, that was a nice send back coming in, but that was an even nicer play coming in from Solo on the enemy side. He just, he set up everything for that team fight. It wasn't even his Winter's Curse. I mean, his Cold Embrace just kept the Gyrocopter alive when the Lycan was on top of him, and they just played that perfectly, waiting out the BKBs. And then once the BKB came down from the Lycan, he's just like, oh, I gotta ditch ship here, abandon it. But the problem now is for Vega, though. Like, that's good. You needed to win that team fight to at least stay in the game. But now you have to find a way to contest Roche or the next one. Else, they're going to have, I think, Aegis and Cheese. So they're not going to be able to defend against that. You mean your one hope in the Wyvern, it's not going to work when you have the Jug with the Aegis.
A little bit of space for Vega to breathe. Their lane's not going to be friendly, though. Only 1. Even their tier 3 bottom's down at 49 HP. So that's basically a free tower the first time someone wants to sneak down and right-click it a couple times. But, yeah, I mean, like, I do feel like Vega's on a clock. I mean, like you said, and the Veil did pay off there. great play from Solo, as you mentioned. You got to educate me, man. Show me those 6,000 plus MMR points. What's realistically your plan other than hope they screw up?
Like I talked about, it's hard to fight into the Night Stalker at this stage of the game. Luckily enough, he went for this Crimson's Guard and not the Ags, so they can have complete vision, and then they would be able to shut down, Solo making these plays very aggressively. But right now, I'm looking at Solo, and he's the man of the hour. He's got Aetherlands as well as almost a Blink Dagger I think he's going for. So his initiation is going to be key. Like I talked about, you're just going to have to go for that next play around Roche timing when it's going to respawn, else it's going to be all over for Vega. And they're trying to get some vision out. It is daytime now, so we will have the benefit of the Hawk here in the mid lane and scout out. And one thing we should note is there any gems right now being picked up? Because this is a very heavy map-controlled game right now.
Yep, seeing that on VP. And that'll be a negatory on Vega as well.
So they could really use that for VP right now just to shut Vega inside their base. And, all they can really work with is the Hawk. And then once you have the vision of the Hawk, you just go and kill it or something. And then you just bleed them dry. We talked about it. Like VP, all they have to do is just kind of farm out here. Don't get picked off. And that's the one good thing about Vega's lineup. At least it's not all AoE, just team fight. You still have Mag here on his Beastmaster. He can solo some good heroes. He's got the Necro 1. Would like to have the Necro 3 by now so he can get those pickoffs, but
yep.
I think the mech did help him a lot in that last team fight, just so they were able to at least boost up their heroes, and maybe that helped the Gyrocopter even survive.
Engage on Yoku, and looks like there's going to be no follow. And probably the wise call to make. I mean, if you're Vega, you have to assume there's a lot of enemies hanging around. And he would have been correct. No Fear was waiting just out of vision. And now he's going to go ahead and move in with the creeps at the very least. They're going to try to chase down Solo. Solo is going to TP away from inside the tree. So not a whole lot going on there. And VP with Aloha Dance split out all the way back up at the top tier 2. Not going to be able to do much. And then just continue to farm the jungle. But as you said, I don't think there's really a downside to that. Wyvern did pick up a Blink Dagger too, by the way.
Yep, it's just going to help him initiate from very far away. That's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to necessarily just, I'm going to fly into the team fight, and because they will have maybe better opportunities. Like VP's not going to make that same silly play like, we're going to run high ground with our Juggernaut now and he's just going to die.
Right.
So you're going to have to plan to initiate a little bit better now for Vega Squadron. We could even see VP do something crazy as well. Like you just put Lycan in the top lane, other 4 in the bottom, and you're going to get something. I mean, you just, look at this tower in the bottom lane. You just throw 2 creeps on it and it's dead.
Yep.
So they have a lot of opportunities to work with for VP. I mean, they might pull out the alliance, but they don't necessarily need to.
Roche coming back up in about 10 seconds. That seems to be the priority for Virtus.Pro, the pros of Virtus, as they've continued to check in and out of the pit. And, an Aegis plus one more good team fight, and they'll lock this game down. It is worth saying Vega's done a commendable job of keeping this not only reasonable, but they've actually made up ground. It's been relatively small ground, and it's continuing to move against them the more time that goes by without them actually taking a team fight. But they did manage to cut the lead down by a not inconsiderable amount, going from about 17 to about 12, 13,000 down in terms of gold experience. Actually cut it to within 5 at one point. But this Roche fight, I think, is going to be everything. One way or the other, we're going to see them challenge. We're going to see VP wanting to prioritize the Roche. And if they get the Aegis, it's probably going to be lights out.
And Mag's trying to do his best efforts of just trying to get some kind of farm on the map here. This is very aggressive for him. He can be caught out by, just one initiation from the Night Stalker. And that's the thing we talked about. They just want to run their bodies, and not having a Blink Dagger on, well, yeah, he does. Actually, he does have the Blink on G. So this is another form of the initiation that they desperately needed. So you can just blink in, defusal anybody you want to chase down, and that's going to help them a lot when they want to try to get some pickoffs, because else it's just them running themselves at buildings.
Right. Smoke coming out from Vega. And they're going to try to catch VP, probably either trying to sneak across the river or check the Roche pit. If they can get one good pickoff here, it'll be a start. Mag's going to run straight on in. Has the Hawk now in position to keep an eye on things. Should be seeing FNG as we speak.
Trying to figure out the vision here. Yeah, if you look at the vision, it doesn't give anything just because of the nighttime.
Oh, wow.
It's you can't even see them doing the Ancients, and that's just That's why you pick Night Stalker against Beastmaster, guys.
Well, Vega not getting much out of the smoke, but at the very least, the game rolls on. Let's say, for sake of argument, Ryu, that Vega wins a Roche fight here and takes an Aegis. How realistically are they? How realistic is it that they're able to then draw this game back to even with maybe one other team fight?
I still think VP have the best late game because of the 2 DPSers on the front lines. They have all the counters that they really need. I mean, you have the Manta style on the Juggernaut to get out of the silence where he's going to get locked down. Eventually, they'll probably get a Linken's too to counteract the Beastmaster Roar as well as the Wyvern ulti, and then they're like, oh, well, we have nothing. But
whoa, Seoma going straight on in on his own. There's going to be a BKB. They're going to try to follow this through, and
he wanted to go on the high ground there, I think.
Yeah,
and he forced down to the, that is...
Yeah,
that feels bad.
Curious what the hell was going on there, and we could see Solo's trying to hang around. Finally, they're going to come back and initiate. 3-man waning rift. There's a call down as well, and G manages to get off the Omni Slash. In the meantime, VP able to pull back and heal up. G managing to keep himself safe for a limited time, but Vega able to bring him down. That's going to be 1 for 2. Vega's lost 2. VP still controlling the pit. Big loss to lose G, but I don't know there's a whole lot they're going to be able to do. And oh, by the way, take a look at top lane. Another reason Vega had to go back. The creeps were split pushing back here, and they're still doing good damage, of course. That's going to come in and be the Aegis picked up for Lycan. Jesus left on the ground, and Solo's up there. He may be able to blink. Oh. They're going to leave it for...
That is, oh, wait, he saw it. I think he saw it with the vision. No, the nighttime. The nighttime.
Oh, my
okay,
goodness.
That is... Oh, darkness, please. That reduced vision. I think if that was just regular night. Oh, my goodness.
Still sitting there, too, man. Let it age a bit more, I suppose. Yeah. See, like, is anyone going to go get it?
like fine wine.
Oh.
This is just... It's...
Like, I'm not saying... It's not like
I'm going to be OCD now, AC.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, there we go, boys.
Hello!
Crowd cheers. You have to go for this play.
No, I love this play, actually. Like, so often it seems like... And I love... God, I'm such a liar. I say so often you see this. I haven't cast it in a year. What the hell am I saying? But back in the day, children's, I used to see gyrocopters in a situation like this very often where it'd be like, okay, so we're going to get our BKB, then we're going to get our butterfly, then maybe we'll think about getting a rapier. When they're down like this, when you're in this situation where really it's not just one fight, you got to win like 3-4 big ones in a row. And instead of taking the gamble, grabbing the rapier, hoping you can just take the enemy by surprise and get back on the road to victory, you would see these gyrocopters who would just sit on their money and slowly try to grind down enough to scrape together like 2-3 big items before rapier. And in the meantime, the other side inevitably was being more efficient with the gold and, of course, is getting their items too. So really like this play out of Vega.
Yeah. It's kind of like you needed it. Butterfly is great against the heroes, but I don't think it would have been enough DPS. And they're just – the biggest thing for me is not stacking Winter Wyvern with the flat cannon.
Yep.
If they don't –
One-man coil, just going to be Aloha dance. No Fear's up there. They're going to be able to get him up. Oh, there we go. There's going to be a roar on the No Fear and the ulti from the Crystal Maiden. No Fear's in trouble.
And he's alone.
Oh, my goodness. Here we go. No one now in some trouble. Gyrocopter has dropped. Didn't see who picked the rapier up. Now, oh, it was on the puck. It's on the ground. Rapier's on the ground, and let's see who's going to want to go pick this bad boy up. That will be FNG. So the gamble doesn't pay off. In the meantime, Solo brought down GG. Well played. And all of a sudden, my man, after watching VP, as you said, stagger out the gates yesterday in Game 1, stagger out the gates again in Game 1 today, we're all tied up 1-1. And really played their draft quite well. Do think Vega deserves a little commendation, though. They held that game a lot longer than I initially thought they would.
Yeah, same. It was just one kind of play, kind of bringing it kind of back into the game with Solo there. Really well played in the top lane, and they were just going to wait out eventually. VP just going for the Roche and getting that extra advantage. And Gyrocopter there with that Divine Rapier. We thought it could do something, but they decided to go on supports there at the end of the game. You didn't find off the cores, and it was just like...
Sad as it is, that's probably,
yeah.
It wasn't terrible, but like compared to the amazing initiation we saw on 0-1, the great coils, the great waning rifts all game, that was probably the worst decision I think I saw him make with coil all game long.
it's just hard to play when you have no vision of the enemy hero,
Yep.
and you have to kill off these supports that are just doing so much work with all their healing. And
Yep.
VP got to be happy there, taking it to a game 3, not going to be necessarily eliminated. And if they can pull off another draft like this and play as they did, I could see them winning the next one.
Vega, again, coming into this as the favorites. Looked like they were, just based on game 1 and the momentum they had coming into game 2, looked like they might have been able to roll it up. But instead, you ready? You ready? I know you've been waiting for it. Instead, VP able to turn the bagel into a breadstick and knot this series up. I'm Ayesee, and that's Ryuu. We're going to take a quick break, guys, then we'll be back with the panel to break down this game and, of course, look ahead to game 3. Stick with us.
E-gaming bets. We accept bets on computer games online.